MJBulls is proud to produce the Raising Cannabis Capital podcast. Today's episode will begin after this brief message from our sponsor.
This ain't no desk job, but it's what you got to do to scale up to this in a single growing season. It's how in Oregon alone we grew and harvested the single largest crop of CBG in the world. Grit, tenacity, hell, whatever you want to call it. The crew at Hamptown USA has it by the bucket load. Just getting our seeds in the ground back in spring and growing them till fall was nothing short of heroic. Propagation, planting, maintaining what we have, and building what we need. Trust me, this shit ain't easy. But when it comes to harvest time, our team bumps the bar up to a whole new level. Next comes processing. Everything but the top flower goes off to get turned into crude, distillate, isolate, and water-soluble ready. Our product, like our team, is nothing less than best in class. This plant has always had the power to change the world, but it needs people to make it happen. We're lucky to have those people right here at Hamptown USA.
The software is on the Apple App Store, so if anybody's interested, you just have to go to the Apple App Store, tap on search, and then type in Adherence Score, and it'll come up. And you can look at screenshots and things like that of the software. I think there's about 10 out there. But we've been on the Apple App Store since 2016, and so we're vetted in that distribution model.
From MJBulls Media, it's the Raising Cannabis Capital Show. Today we're continuing our Raising Cannabis Capital series with Steve Owens, CEO of Adherence Compliance Corp. Steve, thanks for being on the MJBulls podcast.
Thank you, Dan.
Well, Steve, as we transition from the black market cannabis world to the legal cannabis world, one of the obvious benefits is going to be the quality and the safety of the products, and regulations will ensure that what we buy is safe and compliant. You know, when it's properly enforced, it creates a level playing field for businesses and the industries that depend on those metrics outside of the industry. I suspect that one of the challenges with the cannabis industry is just that it's happening so fast, and there's so many overlapping, interwoven agencies that are all creating regulations that it makes it really difficult for businesses to comply.
Exactly right. What we're seeing in the industry, just for California as an example, you've got a list of regulatory agencies that the cannabis businesses must adhere to their regulatory code. And so we have the Bureau of Cannabis Control, Cal Cannabis, which is run by CDFA. We have the Manufactured Cannabis Safety Branch, which is dealing with edibles and manufactured products. So that's CDPH. Pesticide regulations involved, OSHA, Cal OSHA. Department of Labor, their Labor Enforcement Task Force. You have Cal EPA. You have Industrial Relations. You have California Water Board, Medical Board, etc. And so the cannabis owner in California has to deal with thousands of pages of regulatory code. And so if we look at California as an example, it's an emerging market. It's, got 58 counties and 482 municipalities. 18 of those are offering cannabis in the county level, and 140 or so are offering at the municipal level. California is going to be a really big market by itself. It'll be as large as Canada and as large as the rest of the United States combined. And so as we look at cannabis compliance, how do you solve that regulatory problem? And the only way you can really do it is through automation of software, and then, a distinct data model that can basically help us go through the regulatory code all the way down to the license location, to the jurisdictional level, and be able to adhere or basically inspect those businesses. Unless you can inspect a business in Long Beach, California, with city, county, state, and federal compliance regulations applicable to that license type, they really don't know what they're doing. And so at the end of the day, unless they have a compliance inspection by somebody like us that's doing automated inspections, they really don't understand if they're compliant or not at these levels. And so it's a risk for everybody, from investors to regulators to public safeties to the owners themselves.
You have products and services for each of these stakeholders, but the compliance software and the app, why don't we start with that?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Developed the Adherence Score app, which is on the Apple App Store in 2014. We went around and started knocking on doors here in Denver, Colorado. We have some 3,400 licenses here in Colorado. So as an example, we have 3 or 4 dispensary or stores for every Starbucks that we have in the state of Colorado. So that'll give you an idea of how many we have. And California is going down a similar road to they already have 7,000 some licenses that they've put out there. With our automated software, we're going into Boulder, Colorado. We're pulling in Boulder city code, we're pulling in the county code, we're pulling in state code, and then any relevant federal code that has to do with that license type. So is it a dispensary, is it a cultivator, manufacturer, testing center, etc. And so we're able to pull that up in our software quickly, efficiently, and then go in with a trained expert. And within 2 to 4 hours, we can fully evaluate a cannabis operation by its license type and then provide a detailed compliance report or report card that gives them a score from 0 to 100, right? If you score in the 90s, that's good to great compliance. There might be a few violations that we have to deal with, but overall, fairly strong organization. If you score in the 80s, that's a low to medium closure risk. We have some problems, and so we give that a yellow light. If you score in the 70s or lower, that's a red light. It's immediate closure risk. And so if you think about that, from a financial institution, from an investor, from an owner, from a regulator, what is their score? Where are they? And so in essence, it's a lot of some of our clients and folks that we talk to call us kind of the first credit score of the cannabis industry. But when you're looking at one of these businesses, how do you evaluate it? And so we can evaluate it both on a regulatory basis and a financial basis with our software because we do financial compliance inspections as well. The software is on the Apple App Store. So if anybody's interested, you just have to go to the Apple App Store, tap on search, and then type in Adherence Score. And it'll come up. And you can look at screenshots and things like that of the software. I think there's about 10 out there. But we've been on the Apple App Store since 2016. And so we're vetted in that distribution model. We use Amazon and Apple as our partners exclusively for distribution of our software. For Amazon, we're on the GovCloud. And so we're very secure network when we deal with our city and our county and our state and our banking partners. We want to make sure that we're on a secure, stable, encrypted network. And so we're really not competing with, if you look at our business, we're fintech and regtech in cannabis, but we don't really have any cannabis competition. When we compete out there, we're really competing with Acela and IBM and other companies like that. Those are really our competition in government services. And then in financial services, there's a few programs out there, but very few have been vetted to the extent that ours has.
I want to take a minute to tell you about some really innovative things that our sponsor, Cream of the Crop, is doing in the cannabis space. Their brand is on fire. They have the 5th best-selling indoor flower brand in the state, and they're profitable, growing their business at 10% a month year to date. They're succeeding by helping cultivators turn profits through operation management and consulting in exchange for supply agreements. By bringing 30-plus years of cultivation experience, award-winning genetics, ultra-efficient SOPs, proprietary nutrient mixes, and their brand, they're able to help both operators who are new to the space and ones who want to just increase efficiency. In fact, they just increased profits for one of their clients by $700,000 per month. Just incredible. But what's really exciting is that they're expanding their highly scalable model beyond California. That's right, they're accepting applications across the country for 2021 and 2022 partnerships. Also, if you're planning to invest in cannabis, you should definitely look at Cream of the Crop because they're doing a capital round in early 2021 to help with their brand's national expansion. To learn more about partnering with Cream of the Crop or investing in their expansion, go to creamofthecropgardens.com. That's creamofthecropgardens.com. There's so much to do. You have a lot of expansion to do and not a lot of time to keep that first mover stake, especially if your competitors are IBM. you got to get on this.
No, it's a great point. I mean, if you look at our potential acquirers would be data companies, regulatory companies, fintech, regtech. And so those are the companies that obviously we interface with to learn more about industry, things like that. And that's where just a lot of activity is for us. A lot of folks just want to know what we're doing. Send us data, all right? And so it doesn't work that way. In cannabis, you have to be completely guarded in this industry. It's not an industry where intellectual property is very protected. It's an industry that's kind of the wild, wild west right now. And so as a new Delaware corporation, we were formed in September of 2018. We have immediate revenue producing assets, government services, financial and banking partners. So banks use our software to monitor cannabis compliance businesses and to ensure that they're compliant with regulatory and financial code. And so we have, is for Maryland as an example, 3 different banks in Maryland use our program. 2 of them are using our software. Their BSA, Banking Secrecy Act analysts, are going in with our software and doing inspection on these institutions to make sure that it's part of their enhanced due diligence. And so we really are the SaaS, software as a service, fintech, and RegTech leader for the cannabis industry. And then our major issue right now is expansion. We can't handle the current demand coming in. We need to quadruple our size as fast as possible and establish a couple different beachheads in a couple different key markets. And so in working with that, we're talking to different groups and all of this stuff about our expansion needs, if you will. Again, this is not a solicitation or anything like that. But so our expansion needs are interesting. And we're looking at fintech regulations, financial services, technology. How does it work with the RegTech world? And then where is cannabis going? What will the future of cannabis compliance be? And it has to be automated, right? And so we feel we're way ahead of the game.
We've been speaking with Steve Owens, CEO of Adherence Compliance. And I'm going to have all your information on the MJBulls website, your company's information and everything. This has been really interesting. And as we dive into it, it's just so apparent how complicated this is. You may be underestimating when you're saying your piece of this big puzzle is $1 billion. I think it may even be greater as you talk about the whole world. But
so that's just focusing on the United States and Canada. It's at minimum $1 billion market. Wow. And we're positioned very, very well.
Well, Steve, we really appreciate you taking the time to explain all this to us. And thanks for being on the show.
All right. Thank you, sir. You guys have a beautiful day.
Yeah, you too. Good luck. Crappie's Feel Better Company is a cannabinoid CPG company with a line of easy-to-use CBG, CBD, and CBN products built for the weekend warriors, the weekday Zoomers, and anyone in between. Crappie's next-gen products incorporate pharmaceutical-derived chemistry to precisely blend minor cannabinoids and terpenes, creating a series of proprietary formulas for hyper-targeted use cases. Harnessing a team of experts with over 75 combined years of chemistry experience, the company relies on its novel solubility technology, state-of-the-art delivery, consistent results, and unique eye-catching branding to stand out from the crowd. Crappie's executive team and chemists have created a vast and diverse product pipeline to maintain relevance in a saturated market. To find out how you can participate in Crappie's Feel Better expansion, which includes major retail placements, university-executed clinical trials, IP and patent submissions, GMP and API scale-up, and international distribution, go to crappiesfeelbetter.com or on Instagram at crappiesfeelbetter. Today's show was made possible by the generous support of our sponsors, like Alt36, the country's premier blockchain payment processing platform that's providing dispensaries and its customers with a safe and secure payment option other than cash. To learn more, go to alt36.com.